The early morning of May 31st, 2025, witnessed a momentous event that etched yet another historic chapter in the annals of human spaceflight. As the sun cast its golden hue over the barren landscapes of West Texas, a crowd of spectators, Blue Origin employees, and families of the soon-to-be space travelers gathered near Launch Site 1, situated just outside the quiet town of Van Horn. Excitement buzzed in the air. Cameras clicked, drones hovered, and eyes fixed toward the sleek silhouette of the new Shepard rocket, a marvel of precision engineering and reusability, resting upright on the launch pad. At 8:39 a.m. Central Daylight Time, the stillness of the desert was shattered by a thunderous roar as the B-3 engine ignited, propelling the rocket skyward and marking the commencement of Blue Origin's 12th human spaceflight, NS-32. The launch carried 6 private citizens aboard the RSS First Step crew capsule. While the mission lasted only around 10 minutes from liftoff to landing, its significance resonated far beyond the physical altitude reached. Among the 6 was Mark Rocket, a technology entrepreneur and early supporter of New Zealand's aerospace ambitions, who became the first New Zealander ever to venture into space. For Rocket, and for his homeland, the moment symbolized a giant leap from the southern hemisphere to the stars, bringing international representation into what has traditionally been a narrow and elite arena. In interviews prior to the mission, Rocket spoke of his fascination with space as a child, of how he watched shuttle launches and dreamed of one day going beyond Earth. Now, decades later, that dream had become a tangible and triumphant reality. Equally historic was the presence of Jamie Aleman, a Panamanian lawyer, former diplomat, and businessman who became the first citizen of Panama to reach space. A proud advocate for science and education, Aleman viewed the journey as not just a personal victory, but as an opportunity to inspire future generations of Panamanians to look beyond Earth for opportunities in science, technology, and discovery. Completing the crew were 4 Americans: Jesse Williams, a well-known actor and activist; Paul Jerries, an engineer with deep roots in the aerospace community; Dr. Gretchen Green, a physician and advocate for medical research in space; and Amet Medina Jorge, a Cuban-American with a long-standing commitment to empowering underrepresented communities in aerospace and STEM fields. Together, this diverse group represented more than just passengers. They were symbols of human curiosity, courage, and the increasingly inclusive spirit of space exploration. Once aloft, New Shepard's booster lifted the capsule to the edge of the Earth's atmosphere with calculated precision. Around 2 minutes into flight, the booster separated cleanly from the crew capsule. At this stage, the capsule coasted on a ballistic arc into the vacuum of space, reaching a peak altitude of approximately 106 kilometers. Well above the Kármán line, the theoretical boundary of space recognized internationally. Inside the capsule, the 6 crew members unbuckled and floated freely, suspended in microgravity. For several precious minutes, they gazed out of the capsule's oversized windows, among the largest flown in human spaceflight, offering stunning, unobstructed views of Earth's curvature, the deep blackness of space, and the shimmering blue atmosphere clinging tightly to our planet. The overwhelming emotions of weightlessness and seeing Earth from above often bring passengers to tears. Some later described the experience as deeply spiritual, a perspective-shifting moment that made the boundaries and tensions of Earth seem suddenly trivial. Meanwhile, the autonomous booster executed a perfect landing, touching down vertically just a few miles from the launch site, showcasing once again Blue Origin's commitment to reusability and cost efficiency. Minutes later, the crew capsule began its gentle descent. A combination of parachutes and retrothrusters ensured a safe and stable landing in the West Texas desert. Rescue teams quickly converged on the site, helping the euphoric passengers out of the capsule. They emerged to cheers, applause, and embraces. Spacefarers returned from the heavens, their expressions lit with joy, awe, and disbelief. Though their journey was short in duration, its significance was immeasurable. The NS-32 mission was more than a technological exercise or a tourist flight. It was a cultural, national, and scientific milestone. With the successful return of the crew, Blue Origin increased its total count of human passengers to 64, making it one of the most prolific private spaceflight operators in history. The company's continued emphasis on reusable systems and rapid turnaround between missions reinforces its vision for routine space travel. Founded by Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin has always promoted a long-term goal of enabling millions of people to live and work in space. Suborbital flights like NS-32 are only the beginning, stepping stones toward orbital habitats, lunar missions, and eventually permanent settlements beyond Earth. The mission also sparked conversation around the transformative impact of space tourism. While some critics argue that such ventures are extravagant and benefit only the wealthy, supporters view these missions as democratizing access to space, especially as technology matures and costs come down. Blue Origin, in particular, has prioritized diversity in its missions. Past passengers have included educators, artists, environmentalists, and researchers. By selecting individuals like Dr. Green and Ahmet Medina Jorge, Blue Origin sends a powerful message that the benefits and inspiration of spaceflight belong to everyone, not just a select few. Public reaction to the mission was largely positive. Social media buzzed with videos of the crew floating in microgravity, shots of the capsule's descent, and live feeds from the recovery teams. In New Zealand and Panama, the news dominated headlines, with government officials and everyday citizens expressing pride and excitement. Mark Rocket's flight was particularly emotional for many Kiwis, who saw it as a vindication of New Zealand's emerging role in the global space industry. The country has already made strides with Rocket Lab's launch operations, and Rocket's flight helped amplify the message that New Zealanders have a real and growing stake in the future of space. Looking ahead, Blue Origin plans to continue its suborbital missions while simultaneously developing larger ambitions, including the orbital-class New Glenn rocket, a commercial space station, orbital reef, and lunar landers as part of NASA's Artemis program. The success of missions like NS-32 not only fund these future endeavors, but also serve as testbeds for technology, human factors, and mission operations that will be critical in more complex and demanding environments. With each successful flight, the company builds a track record that may one day make space travel as accessible and routine as air travel. In the final analysis, the new Shepard NS-32 mission was a triumph of vision, engineering, and human aspiration. It carried 6 individuals who dared to dream beyond the confines of gravity and returned them safely, forever changed. They represented different continents, cultures, and careers, but they shared a single, breathtaking experience: seeing Earth from space and returning with a renewed sense of purpose and unity. In a time when Earth faces profound challenges, from climate change to geopolitical unrest, missions like this remind us of our shared humanity and the limitless possibilities that await when we look to the stars. As Blue Origin's new Shepard stands poised for its next flight, the echoes of NS-32 will linger, inspiring a new generation to reach upward, outward, and beyond.